I've seen too many people rush out for a cheap hobby drone, only to end up with a wobbling camera, a flight time that barely gets them past the park, and a return to home that feels more like a guessing game. That regret shows up in the footage they post: shaky shots, blown-out skies, and a whole lot of "I wish I'd spent a little more." So the question I keep hearing is, does stepping up to the DJI Mavic 3 Fly More combo actually feel like a smarter buy? Or am I just paying for a brand name? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When you're weighing a drone that costs a few $100 against one that pushes the 5-figure mark, the hesitation is real. The first thing I looked at was whether the Mavic 3 lets you actually use that price tag to get reliable results without spending hours in the menu trying to coax decent footage. In everyday terms, that means, can you take it out for a quick family beach day, a sunrise over the city skyline, or a weekend hike, and walk away with usable video and still have the battery left for a second flight? Those are the moments that separate a nice toy from a tool that justifies its cost. Let's start with the camera, because that's where the Mavic 3 really tries to set itself apart. It packs a 4/3-inch CMOS sensor made in partnership with Hasselblad, which is a big leap from the 1-inch sensors you see on most consumer drones. In practice, that sensor size translates to cleaner detail in bright daylight, and, more importantly, a lot less noise when you're shooting in low light. I tested it during a dusk shoot on a lake, and the footage held onto color and texture where smaller sensors would have turned everything into a muddy gray. The autofocus is fast and reliable, tracking a moving cyclist without hunting, which means you don't have to be a seasoned pilot to get a crisp subject in motion. Stabilization on the Mavic 3 is handled by a 3-axis gimbal that feels solid even when the wind picks up. In a real-world scenario, I took it to a windy coastal cliff around 15 miles per hour gusts, and the footage stayed buttery smooth, without the jitter you sometimes see on cheaper models that try to compensate with software alone. That kind of mechanical steadiness is what makes the drone useful for working creators who need to capture B-roll that can actually be used in a client edit without heavy post-processing. Battery life is another place where the Mavic 3 tries to earn its premium. DJI quotes 46 minutes of flight time, and in my hands-on sessions, I was consistently getting 40+ minutes on a single charge under normal cruising speeds. That's enough to cover a whole scouting run, get a few different angles, and still have a safety margin for a careful return. The Fly More combo adds 2 extra batteries, a charger, and a carrying case, so you're not stuck hunting for an outlet after one flight. The confidence you get from knowing you can stay in the air for nearly an hour changes the way you plan a shoot. You can afford to spend time framing that perfect shot instead of racing against the clock. Now, let's talk about the obstacle sensing system, because safety is a big part of the decision to spend this much. The Mavic 3 features omnidirectional obstacle detection, using multiple vision sensors to see in every direction. In practice, that means when you're navigating through a forest trail, the drone will automatically slow down and avoid a branch before you even realize it's there. The Advanced Return to Home (RTH) adds a layer of intelligence, assessing the best path back if you lose signal or the battery gets low. I did a test where I briefly lost the visual link while flying behind a hill, and the drone smoothly plotted a route back without any abrupt drops or erratic movements. For beginners who worry about crashing on their first outing, that safety net is a genuine peace-of-mind feature. Ease of use is where the Mavic 3 both shines and shows its limits. The remote controller is familiar if you've used previous DJI models, with dedicated buttons for quick media capture, and a small OLED screen that gives you flight data at a glance. The DJI Fly app, however, is a little more involved than the simpler interfaces you find on entry-level drones. There are multiple shooting modes, custom settings for ISO, shutter speed, and color profiles that can feel overwhelming if you've never fiddled with manual camera controls. That said, the app does a good job of hiding the complexity behind intelligent flight modes like waypoints, focus track, and master shots, which let you execute cinematic moves with a few taps. If you're a hobbyist who wants to learn the ropes, you'll spend a few sessions getting comfortable, but you won't be stuck in a menu forever. Who should consider buying the Mavic 3 Fly More combo? If you're a working creator, think real estate videographers, documentary shooters, or anyone who needs high-resolution aerial footage that can stand alongside footage from a cinema-grade camera. This is the drone that lets